All right, let's bring in our guests. Not since Siskel and Ebert back in the 80s have TV audiences relied so much on one person's reviews. He's the NFL and college football rules analyst for Fox Sports, Dean Blandino. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me. I love that intro, Siskel and Ebert. That's nice.
Yeah. I think you've surpassed them, but who am I? I don't want to get into trouble here. I have so many dumb things to ask you about rules and rule proposals, so buckle in. But in general, I think the officials have done a good job in the NFL this year. But I wanted to know, when the broadcast team comes to you, do you feel a tiny bit of an obligation to defend the referee's call on the field, everything else equal?
It's a great question. And it's one of those, when I first went into this role, you have relationships with people, you build those relationships over time. There's a lot of trust there. And then you're out there on the broadcast, and sometimes you may disagree with a call, or you may not like what was done. And I think you have to just separate the two. I've always taken the approach, I'm going to give my opinion. I'm not going to, if I don't agree with something, I need to express that. But I think there's a way to do it without being mean-spirited, right? Without throwing them under the bus to say, hey, look, I didn't like this call. Here's probably what they were looking at. So I think there's a way to do it respectfully that you can get the point across without really burying them.
All right. I think you should be a little more mean-spirited, but that's just me.
All right, that's fine. Yeah.
Speaking of mean-spirited, there are a ton of Kansas City Chiefs conspiracy theorists out, and they seem to be in full force this season, despite the fact that the numbers tell you otherwise. If you want to look, they're the second most penalized, whatever. It's crazy. What do you say to fans like my pal Harry, who insists they're getting crucial calls in their favor and that the league is in on it?
Well, never let the facts get in the way of a good conspiracy, right? And we've heard this over time. I mean, and anytime a team is successful, we heard this with the Patriots, right? The Patriots were doing all these different things, and now the Chiefs get all the calls, but it doesn't happen. The Chiefs are a very good team. They've got very good players. They're coached very well. And sometimes, there have been high profile plays where a call goes in favor of the Chiefs. That stuff tends to work itself out over time. It balances out. Believe me, and I've got very close family members who I will not name, who believe that I was in on the conspiracy as the head of officials, and that I've signed an NDA from when I left the NFL and I can't talk about it. That's people that I grew up with in the same household believe that.
Drunk Uncle Jerry thinks that? Is that who it is? I'm just going to keep guessing Uncle names Leo, until you say Uncle Leo. Yeah. Right. The replay assist, I love it. I'm not sure I understand it, but I think the gist of it is there's a crew that could immediately or somewhat immediately overturn a call on the field if they see it clear and concisely. I'm not sure what the verbiage is, but I want it for more. I feel like it's limited right now. Where do you see it? Is this going to be expanded in the future? What is it supposed to cover right now?
Right now, it's supposed to cover objective things: catch, no catch, right? The ball hitting the ground, the foot stepping out of bounds, the knee being down. And it is a little clunky at times, because it's like, okay, is the coach going to challenge this? Is replay assist going to do it? The theory is, if it's obvious, right, the officials rule catch, and it's clear the ball's on the ground, and they try to get it done before there's 20 seconds or less on the play clock. So if they can do it in that window, they can say, hey, ball's on the ground, incomplete, make a quick announcement, and away we go. So I think that's in theory what it's meant for. I think it does work. There are going to be those plays where it feels a little clunky, but they're definitely going to expand it. You watch the number of missed face mask calls we've had this year. The Monday night game this week with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Another example. I think they're going to look at that. I really do. And I don't know. The competition committee has always taken more of a measured approach. And I think this is going to be something they may dip their toes in the water on some of these other subjective calls, like a face mask.
Interesting. Okay. So now we're getting into the deep waters with calls that have not been made, but that they see. Like, so for instance, I think you could start at least with pre-snap plays. So when the right tackle on the Chiefs is moving 3.5 seconds before the snap, I feel like that could be right now. Replay assist can't help that, but that might be something, right? Okay.
It might. Yeah. You want to deal with something that's as objective as possible, because there is so much subjectivity, right? We saw what happened with pass interference back in 2019. There's a lot of subjectivity. I would hate to see holding calls, those types of things go to review. But I think there is a window, an opportunity to correct some of these. You look, there was a big missed false start in the Rams-Bills game on 4th down that you would hope you could get an opportunity to correct that.
You talked about pass interference. I feel like uncatchable has not been called in years. And then it was called the other night in the Chiefs, actually against the Chiefs, which is interesting. Why is it? Was there an unspoken rule that like, hey, we're going to treat almost everything like it's a catchable ball?
It's interesting, yes. But from my experience, when I started in the officiating department mid '90s, that was the way I was taught, that you have the greatest athletes in the world. So in order for it to be uncatchable, it really has to be obvious, right? Just assume that receiver can make a play on the ball.
The other thing that drives me nuts is when there's a holding call about 10 yards from the play.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be treated as uncatchable is? Like, yeah, that's a penalty, but it had nothing to do with the result because it was on the other side of the field.
Absolutely. And that's been part of the challenge with offensive holding. You always hear, well, you could call holding on any play. Yes, I think there's holding that occurs, right? The actual act of grabbing the jersey. But your point, that's the thing. Does it have an impact on the play? Is it at the point of attack? Because what if the running back cuts back to the other side? That hold now has an impact. So you got to kind of be careful with saying, it's totally doesn't have an effect. And that's part of the challenge with officiating calls like that.
So you think it's more likely that an official would just hold his flag and say, all right, that is far from the play, versus them making it an official rule and saying, hey, we're now going to call or not call holding plays that have nothing to do with the result of the run?
Yeah, I think it's up to the official to have to make those decisions, their discretion when the play is, because they're watching the play. They have to see how it develops and decide if it has an impact or not.
Okay. I feel like I'm doing very well with you right now with these questions. I do want to add one. So we saw the first game of the year on Amazon, right? And it was Isaiah Likely had his some kind of toenail out of bounds, and the Chiefs won as a result and the Ravens lost. The comment was made that they may not, if this was like a 1 p.m. Eastern window with 8 games, one of those games may not have the camera angle to overturn that. Is that fair to you, that where the Colts Jags kicking off at 1 Eastern, you need a Zapruder film type luck in terms of getting an angle versus some of these other high profile games?
That was one of the things when we brought replay back into the NFL in 1999, that was a big part of the discussion. Not all games have the same cameras, right? You're dealing with a C or D crew, an early game on Sunday that might have as few as 8 cameras. When you think about Sunday night or Monday night, that could have up to 20 cameras. I think the league is implementing and putting more static cameras in right now. They're called boundary line cameras. So every stadium going into 2025 will have these cameras on the boundary lines. So I think that'll help alleviate some of those issues.
Why can't we standardize it? Because the league can't make $17 billion and they make 16.75. Like, what's the difference? Have 20 cameras in each stadium.
The NFL, and I love the NFL. I spent a long time there, but they do for an organization that makes as much money as they do. Yeah. They certainly don't spend it like they have an unending supply, which again, it's smart business. That's not to see other companies don't do that.
Right. All right. I don't know if you saw this the other night, Georgia, Texas, the SEC championship game. They come out for overtime, and the official tosses the coin catches the coin.
Oh my God!
Seemed a little aggressive, right?
Oh, he did it before. And look, he did it before the opening right. Call. I've never seen that, and I just feel like too much can go wrong because he's flipping it. And as he's flipping, he's going, if I drop it, we do it again. I'm like, just let it hit the ground. Like, why are we messing around with this? I mean, I was involved. Clete Blakeman, NFL referee, it was a playoff game. It was overtime. He flipped the coin. It never turned over. And he had to flip it again. And it was bizarre. We've seen some coin toss controversies over the years. We don't need any more.
Okay. What are we doing to make this tush push illegal already? Let's do it. It's ruining the game.
I've always been anti tush push. I don't look. Eagles do it very well. I get it. It's not against the rules. It used to be against the rules. You couldn't push the runner. I think it's an
What
easy
was wrong with
fix.
that? Why couldn't they stick with that?
They just didn't officiate it, and then they took it out, which I don't think is the right approach. It's easy. You can get rid of the tush push, and then if you don't want to get involved in downfield and did they push him? Did they do? That's fine. But the tush push is easy. Everybody knows what it is, and you just can't push. You can't push the quarterback into. I just think it's a play. I remember hearing Jason Kelsey after he retired. He hated that play. Loved the results, but being a part of that, being the center on that play, I just think it could end up being a dangerous play.
All right. I don't even know if you're allowed to give a Super Bowl pick, but I'm going to ask one.
Oh, sure. From you. Yeah, I'm allowed. I'm not in officiating anymore.
Yeah.
I'm actually. I grew up in Long Island in New York. I grew up a Giants fan. Okay, so I'm certainly not, and my kids are now Giants fans. So the Giants, that's a whole nother story.
It's not going to be them. I'll give you a hint.
It's not going to be them,
hint.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're out. So I'm pulling for two teams that haven't won a Super Bowl. I think it would be an incredible matchup. We have the game on Fox Sports. I think both fan bases are probably some of the hungriest and most downtrodden fan bases. I'm rooting for a Lions-Bills Super Bowl matchup.
That was my preseason pick. Yep, I think it's a good one. I think it's solid. Everybody gets what they want, except whoever loses that game. Yeah, for sure. All right, Dean, before we let you go, now you're always reviewing football plays. You did a nice thing for us. My friend Harry caught a pass kind of against Vince Young, and we had you review it. Actually, it wasn't that nice. We paid you. It was a cameo, but I appreciate you doing it anyway. I want to show you something. This is not from an NFL or a college game. This is from a wedding, one that I didn't attend. And this is a tossing of a bouquet. And I would like you to determine if this is a catch or not a catch and who has possession, which bridesmaid has possession. Okay.
All right.
All right. This is a tough one. I'm going to preface it with that. All right. Let Mikey Meatballs play it for Dean. There you go.
Okay. I can already see who's going to be. Oh.
So you have tattooed girl, and then you have non-tattooed girl.
I knew she was going to be the problem.
Yeah, always is.
Oh my!
Do you want to see it again? It was tough.
Let me just get one more. I actually want to see how this plays out at the end too. But
it's bad. Yeah, they stab each other during the serving of the cake.
Okay, so all right.
One more?
No. Well, okay. What is there a ruling on the field? Who did they?
They're still fighting for it. I don't know. I don't think there's a ruling. No, it's been years.
I'm looking at, because we don't really have offense defense, because typically a simultaneous catch would go to the offense. I don't think we have offense defense. I'm going with the girl, the non-tattoo girl. She had control first.
Okay.
And then the tattoo girl came in and tried to pull it away. They're still fighting for it. And on the field, this would be survival of the fittest. I don't think the girl on the ground is ever letting it go. But I'm going with the girl, the other chick. She had control. She completed the process.
All right. And now, is this a reviewable play by like the groom or maybe the father who paid for the wedding?
That's a big deal. That's their future, right? Yeah. Whether they're going to get married, where they're going to go. But yeah, I think that's a reviewable play.
Dean Blandino, as always, you could see him helping make the call on Fox NFL and college football. Thanks so much for being here, Dean.
Thanks for having me.